To work today, a lot of traffic. Stanford, I did the videos, of course, for the NBC thing. Came down to terrible traffic, 95, a mess. And I zipped on 36th Street, and my parking spot was gone. I felt like Willie Randolph going back to Shane. His nameplate was out, manuals on there. Holy goodness. Now, let me get this out of the way. Quickly. Because we're going to dwell on this for the next 5.5 hours. We can't do that. Not enough people care. It's not that important. In the middle of making sure a 2-year-old doesn't walk into the deep end of the New Canaan Field Club pool and trying to make sure, Colin ate his chicken nuggets and Kira Russo had her grilled cheese and I try to lament me losing a tennis match 3-3 in the third set, missing overhead after overhead against Mark DeWhaley. Neil Best gives me a call on Saturday night, 5:45. First thing he tells me is, I hear the show's breaking up. Can you come in? So, man, that was the first I've ever heard of it. It was the first I've heard of that. Neil, who I like, nice guy, although he did trash my book, which drives me nuts, the Mad Dog Hall of Fame book. Killed it. After he didn't praise the first one. Killed it. But that's neither here nor there. I said, Neil, that's news to me. And I basically gave Neil Best of Newsday the quote that you've read, is then it still sticks, and that's the basis of these 4 or 5 minutes here, and that's the fact that I have a contract here at WFAN that runs for an extended period of time. It's not up on July 2nd. It's not up on Labor Day. It's not up on Bar A Day, and it's not up my birthday. It's not up Christmas time. It's not up at the Super Bowl. It's not even up Final Four. So this idea that somehow our program, that we've been fun having done it for 19, 20 years, is on the verge of being dismantled, caught me totally by surprise. Totally by surprise. Now, obviously, when you are in this position, you have negotiations that have to take place for both parties, Mike included. And, sometimes there's always a hiccup along the way, so people start to think that, oh boy, Chris isn't rushing to do this, or Mike's not rushing to do that, and then everybody jumps to conclusions that, looking to find issues between the two of us as the trigger point of why the show no longer will be the case. And in this case, that trigger point happens to be the quote-unquote deteriorating relationship that supposedly Mike and I have been undergoing here for a better part of 3 or 4 months, which is not entirely accurate. Let me set the record straight on that. From Easter through May 9th, Friday, Molly Russo's birthday. Easter, right around that period to May 9th, Mike and I are having a lot of issues. If you're a listener, I don't have to tell you. Whether it was Yankee Stadium, good or bad, whether it was, David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, whether it was Don Nelson, Hall of Fame, not Hall of Fame, Shaq with Phoenix, Yunel Escobar with the braids, you name it. We were fighting like cats and dogs. I'll take, hey, our show, I got to take a good part of that responsibility. Fighting like cats and dogs. The tolerance level of each other, Mike to me to Mike, was low. When that tolerance level is low, like it is with your wife or your kids, or you're going to have some issues. So from that period to May 9th, issues. After I took Sal Akata to Lake Compounce on that Sunday Mother's Day with 4 little kids, Mark Chernoff, our program director, calls me up and says, listen, can we talk tomorrow? Let's get this straightened out. After some initial balking by yours truly, I said, you know what? Absolutely. Came down the next day. Mark brought us into his office. Mike and I I apologized for acting like an idiot at times. Mike did the same thing. Next thing you know, we're back on the same page. So although we had the occasional skirmish since, I can think of that show at the Belmont with the Manny Ramirez Euclid's fight and all those kinds of things. Although we had occasional Spurs, a lot of fights on the Spurs. Although we had occasional skirmishes from May 11th or 12th to last Wednesday, I don't think there was really any problem. Now, was it as good as it may have been in the heyday as far as relationship is concerned? No, because we were killing each other for 6 weeks. It took a little while to get back to the same page. So that's number one. Deteriorating relationship, I don't feel that Maybe before May 12th I did, but I certainly didn't feel that from May 12th on. So this theory that, boom, now I know why. And they're leaving, they hate each other. I don't buy that. 19, 20 years, you're going to have your issues occasionally. You got to get through those issues. Now listen, I mean, does that mean Mike's going to sign a 20-year contract extension with WFAN? Probably not. Does that mean that Christopher Russo is going to sign a 20-year contract extension with WFAN? Probably not. Do I want to work 20 more years doing this? Probably not. Probably not. But does that mean that, you know, last Wednesday was our last ever program together? That's a little short. That's a little short. That's taking a big leap. And, you know, Neil Best thinks he has something, and he's a good reporter, and I like Neil. Again, I would never talk to him about anything like this because, for whatever the reason, it's the guy who killed my book. That's sensitive to authors, and don't forget, I'm John Grissom. That's sensitive. I talked to him about it, but I don't forget that. He went out of his way to bury that book. Same day I was on the Today Show. Come on.